Hello and welcome to a summer edition of Sports Wrap on a really, really hot day in August. I'm one of the hosts, Mike Rigdor, along with my friend and co-host Frank Walsh, and our guest, and I would say sports fanatic like the rest of us, Jim Derochea. How you doing, Jim? Welcome on the show again.
Excellent. Welcome. Thanks for having me once again. Love to be here.
Great to have you. So, you know, I don't know where to, I mean, I know where to start, but I'm so frustrated. It's hard to talk about it. You know, we have the Red Sox to talk about, obviously. We have the Patriots to talk about, which actually dominates the radio airwaves if you listen to it. And then, I don't know, I mean, the Celtics and the Bruins are really out of the picture right now. Celtics have made some lousy trades, I think, but I don't really want to do that unless we need to. But anyway, I guess we have to start with the Red Sox and how disappointing they have been since the All-Star break. I mean, now they're 2-9, I believe, since the All-Star break. And they just can't seem to win. They just can't seem to beat Tampa Bay, which just seems to be playing like they're waiting for the Red Sox to make a mistake. And sure enough, Barnes did it last night, and they lost 9-8. And so it's the sixth straight loss now to the Rays. And the Yankees and Toronto are creeping ever closer. So, I mean, is there hope for the Red Sox? That's what I want to know. Maybe we could start with, you want to start with Jim? You want to start with you?
Go for it, Jimmy.
Sure. Yeah. You know, it's, I won't say I thought they were playing over their head. This team reminded me a lot of that 2013 team, where that team, they had the bonding of the Boston Marathon bombing, and that they kind of rallied around. This team doesn't have that, but they had the same kind of character when they were playing over their head. But I had some concerns all along, and I was hoping they would address some of them at the trade deadline or before. And, you know, they really didn't. I think they saw, you know, Chris Sale on the horizon, the savior, you know, the ace, which is great. That's a huge thing, but pitches once every 5 games, you know, and a couple other little things coming up. But there are things that concern me. I've talked to you about it a little bit recently, Mike, but Matt Barnes historically has petered off a bit in the second half. And I did a little digging earlier today, and it seems that when he pitches at least in the first half, when he approaches or is over 40 innings pitched, he struggles in the second half. And he finished the first half at around 38 innings pitched. And it doesn't mean he struggles the whole second half, but his numbers definitely go down. For the most part, his ERA, batting average against, slugging, all take a hit in the second half. So that worried me. I thought maybe the Red Sox might be looking at that. And, you know, there was a couple of guys out there that they could have gone, whether it was setup or even closer, and put Barnes in that setup role, but to do something. And now, you know, it's kind of coming to fruition. It's kind of blown up the past 3 outings he's had. But again, I'm hoping that, you know, he can right the ship. They can figure it out. The one thing they mentioned last night that I've also noticed is his pace. He's a lot slower than he was the first half. He needs to get the ball, throw the ball, and see if he can get back on track that way. So that's a big concern.
Just kind of touched on what I was going to say. You know, I agree with your assessment there, but I was saying, you know, similar things is that when Barnes went out there early in the year up until the All-Star break, I mean, he was putting fear in the hitters. I mean, he had no fear. He went up there, he got the ball, he threw it, and he had no fear whatsoever. And it appears to me the fact that he is slowing down is that he's pitching more defensively than offensively. You know what I mean? Instead of taking the ball, throwing it, and say, here, try to hit it. It's like now, I hope you don't hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I can see, and another thing too, as far as the Red Sox go, me, probably the two of you now over the years, let's remember the fact that the Red Sox dominated Tampa early in the year, and they
Yeah.
dominated Yankees early in the year. And what am I, Mikey? The law of averages guy.
You are the law of averages. Yeah.
I think that you stretch out over a 160 game season, you're not going to beat Tampa, you're not going to beat New York, you know, 12 out of 18 times, 13 out of 18 times. They're going to be
Yeah.
pretty close, and I think that's what we're saying. I'm seeing the ship and the averages kind of mellowing out and evening up, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
I guess so.
pretty scary. It's pretty
I,
scary.
yeah, I think you're right to some degree, but I think like Jim was saying too, and I was thinking about, I was so angry. I could have done like a rant for 20 minutes when they didn't get Anthony Rizzo. I thought for
Did
sure, I did do it with you, I know. I thought for sure they were going to get him. I thought for sure it was the perfect spot. They needed a first baseman. The guy is from this area, I believe.
Yeah.
and he played with the Sox.
Was a prospect for the Red Sox, and he's a great fielder. He can hit, and they would have given him a boost, and that's what they missed. I think. I don't think they got a boost at all from the trade deadline. I mean, the other teams all got somebody that can help them. Even Tampa Bay, they got Nelson Cruz. I mean, Schwarber is not the answer to me that they got. I mean, he's not a first baseman, and he's injured.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's injured again. He hurt himself again during his recovery.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's, and then he also takes, he's another outfielder. They have three outfielders that are, been pretty much producing. He's not a first baseman per se, so they're going to move him around. I don't know how much that would affect him, but it means someone has to sit out one or two more games a week than they have been, and
right.
if you're taking out guys that have been productive, like Hunter Renfro or Kiki Hernandez, that
Yeah.
doesn't happen. So.
No.
I think too that I heard that there's a possibility that they might be shaking up their lineup. They're supposed to be having a meeting today, and there's
Yeah.
supposed to be a shake up in the lineup. And I was wondering what they could do. I mean, they don't really have any key players that they can, punch in. So I don't know what shaking up the lineup is going to do, other than maybe put a little bit of who knows? But they've got what's his name, the pitcher down in Pawtucket, sitting on the bench down there. What's his name? Hoyt. What's his name? The young kid.
Tanner Houck. I thought they brought him up.
Houck. Are they going to bring Houck up? I mean, if Sale comes back, put some of these starters into the bullpen. There's supposed to be a big shakeup. It'll be interesting to see what the lineup is going to be tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think they
mean-
definitely move guys around because JD's
Yeah.
not hitting. If you guys aren't hitting, maybe that can get them going, but they definitely need to do something.
The big
Yeah, I mean, they have like this kid,
Yeah,
Jared
no-
Duran. Jared Duran hasn't done very much since he came up. Dahlbeck has been a big disappointment at first base. So I think they really put a lot of pressure on the middle of the order to get the job done. And I looked at the Tampa Bay Rays yesterday. Besides Nelson Cruz, if you asked me who their lineup is, I couldn't tell you anybody really. Well, Lowe is a pretty good player, but I mean, they play with so much confidence. It's almost like I was watching the manager sitting in there like Cash going like, oh, okay, we're losing, but no big deal.
Yeah,
They play with like so much confidence. I don't think they're afraid of the Red Sox at all. They're not intimidated by anybody really. Yeah, I mean, the Red Sox have to find a way to gut it out and win a game tonight. I would hate to see Barnes as a closer again.
yeah,
He would do that again?
Right. And
yeah. I think. I mean, he's gone 3 of the last 4 games. I don't see him getting in there tonight, but.
right.
Then again, whenever he can, get him back out there for his confidence. I mean, he needs.
Yeah.
He needs to get his confidence turned around and pick up the pace. Like you guys were saying earlier, it's whether it's his pace or his confidence. He's changed from from the first half to now.
Yeah.
He needs to get his mojo back.
I think one of
Did
the
he
other
get a big extension also? I thought he got an extension for 2 years
Yeah, he did.
for that.
Right before the trade deadline, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you go back and look at this losing streak, what were they? I think 10 out of 13, I believe they've lost. If you go back and look at some of those losses, all they needed in many of those games was a key hit. If you go
Yeah,
back and
right.
look at the time left on base during those games, they were in many of those games, and they either lost it late, but there were many times where they had multiple opportunities. I think there was one game, or over a stretch of 2 games, they had 4 times they had the bases loaded and didn't score. You know, so they are not producing in key situations. And I think
No.
that it's that ripple down effect. You know, if the offense starts making some of these key hits, gets the team ahead, and then, you know, that bolsters the pitcher's confidence. But, you know, when you're in those situations and you're not getting those hits, that's very deflating. And over time,
Yeah.
it just continues to build up pressure and pressure and pressure.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. That's
Um,
true.
I was rethinking that. I'm just thinking that Schwarber thing again. Well, but I was looking like Verdugo's never played more than 106 games. Renfro once played 140, but he averages around 100 games. Those two, they've been platoon players. Or in Verdugo's case, he's a young guy. Kike
Yeah.
Hernandez been a platoon player, 130 games this season. Christian Arroyo's never played. This year he played 50. That's the most. He played 34, I think. So Schwarber, in retrospect, maybe that's where he does help, because these guys have not played a full season and gone through, 150, 160 games on their body, what that toll takes. So maybe he can alleviate that, and guys like Verdugo and Renfro can be more consistent from now to the end of the season, as opposed to getting worn down. So, trying to look at the positive side of it. If Schwarber can maybe that can help.
Yeah, but when is Schwarber going to be coming back? Do they know?
That's the question. Yeah.
Yeah, because he hurt his groin again, and
Yeah.
Christian Arroyo's been out. He was making some key hits to win games down the stretch. Arroyo and Verdugo as well.
Yeah.
But definitely slacked off for some reason. He was hot.
I'm actually surprised that they haven't tried working out JD at first, because then Schwarber could DH. But he's got a good glove. We know other guys. There was a guy that wore number 8, I think, that was an outfielder that became a first baseman that did pretty well for the Red Sox back in the 70s and 80s. So, guys have done it. So, but they may have tried it and it may not have worked out, and we just never knew about it because on the side. But I'm surprised they didn't go that route either. But.
Now, the Red Sox have a couple of weeks left before, they can make trades and add to the playoff roster. You have to be on the roster by September 1st.
Yeah.
Do you think that they're going to do anything between now and September 1st to either make a trade or try to pick somebody up?
Yeah, and I don't know that there's anyone out there they could pick up that's going to help their pitching per se, or I'd say you never know. I think the best pickups they have are Chris Sale, Schwarber if he gets on the field, and Tanner Houck, who between last year and what he's done this year has been mostly dominant and should be in a key role, whether it's starting, closing, setting up but I prefer starting, but that guy has got to be in that pitching mix sooner than later. Those 3 guys could be a boost down the stretch for sure. It's like picking up 3 guys.
And what's his name? Garrett Whitlock.
Whitlock is another guy. Yep.
He pitched. I was disappointed that he didn't pitch that well yesterday, because he was really he was cooking for a while.
Yeah.
And
He's
then
still
2 runs.
Yeah, and that's his ERA ballooned to 1.45 or something. So he's been incredible the whole season. But Cora, I think he needs to be a little tougher at times on the guys for sure. Pitching coach is always going to get the finger of blame when a team's not, whether it's the bullpen or starters not performing. But part of that shakeup, you know, it might not even be as much as the offense as the defense. You know, with Sales coming back this weekend, inserting Tanner Houck, um, you know, that's a shot in the arm. You know, the one positive too, of guys who have better second halves than first halves. Eddie Rodriguez historically is a better pitcher in the second half than the first half. So, you know, let's hope, you know, he had a stretch of 3 or 4 games where he seemed to be starting to put it together, had a little
Yeah.
setback, but hopefully, you know, if he can pitch, you know, as a number 3 starter or a number 4 starter down the stretch, and you know, Sale and Hauk can do their thing, you know, they'll stay in this. They basically need to play 500 against the teams that, you know, they're the top teams, and then teams that they should be. They can't let those games get away. They need to beat
I
those.
was going to say the same thing. You know, they have a
Yeah.
relatively tough schedule. They have, I think, like a dozen or 10 or 12 more games left with Baltimore.
Yeah,
You know, and
Yeah.
you know, Baltimore can be hit or miss sometimes, but you hit the nail on the head. They have to win the games they should win.
yeah,
You know, and they've
Yeah.
let those games.
Well,
go.
after they play Tampa Bay, they got the Orioles coming in here, I think, for 3 games, and then they got to go play the Yankees at New York, I think, or maybe no, the Yankees are coming in here. Yeah, they got to get their Sale has got to give them a big lift. I mean, he's got to come in and really perform. But I'm really worried about these next 2 games too, though. I mean, if they could be in 4th place by the time, by the end of this, you know, after the 2 more games are over. By the time the series is over, they could be in 4th place.
Exactly.
yeah.
Toronto and the Yankees, I don't know. Even Toronto scares you a little bit more than the Yankees does right now, because boy, do they have a great hitting team.
Yeah.
Right about the team. But,
You know?
I think it might be time to shift gears a little bit. I'd love
Yeah,
to
we got to do.
talk the Patriots. We only have about 7 minutes left, so I would say, Jimmy, jump in there and give your thoughts on the Patriots and wherever you want to start, the quarterbacks, the team.
Yeah.
Where are the Patriots going this year?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, their defense is better than last year. Just you know, they shored that up. They've got guys coming back like Hightower. So they remind me, they're built a bit like the 2001 team, where they built the offense around a balance or running and don't turn the ball over, and their defense is going to keep us in games.
Yeah.
So the only difference is when they went to Brady in 2001, it was more of a game management, which I think they would have to do if Mac Jones was the quarterback. But, you know, Cam looks right now to be the starter. You know, my trepidation with that is he looked good at times preseason last year. He looked like his arm troubles were behind him. And then he came out, he had a couple setbacks, and then, you know, for the most part of the season, he was throwing the ball at people's feet, and it
That's
was,
right.
you know, keep my fingers crossed that, you know, he can play, he can manage the run game, including himself, like he's done in the past, and he doesn't hurt us in the passing game. You know, the Patriots should be on, you know, in the mix for a playoff contention.
Okay, so the question is, do you think, like looking back at 2001, that was the injury to Bledsoe that brought in Brady, but do you think if Cam, let's say, starts the season and they're like 2-3 or something, or they start off 1-3, I don't see that happening, but let's say they just get off to a bad start, or he's not playing well after the 4th game, which will be the Brady game, that Belichick would make the move, would switch to Jones.
I think he might, and because, like I said, the team is built that way that he can coach his quarterback to just don't make mistakes. You got 2 tight ends, you got three or 4 running backs that can catch the ball in the backfield. You don't have to throw the ball downfield until you have to. Let's manage the game. We should have a strong running game. Supposedly the offensive line is the strongest it's been, you know, in a decade. So they're built to be a clock management, team management game. Cam gives them a little more flamboyancy out there with what he can do. But yeah, if he can't, if they're 1-3 or, you know, he's injured, or I can definitely see them going to Mac Jones because they have the blueprint in place to put him in and not put too much pressure on him.
Yeah.
And I think to that, you know, the way that this team is built, you touched on it earlier, is that the way that this team is built, they have very good combination of pass and run. You know, they've got such a good mix on that you know, that could take some of the pressure off of Cam in a little bit. That if he has that good line in front of him, you know, he may not have to pass a lot. You know, he could, you know, do the dinks and dunks to the backs. You know, he doesn't have to worry about throwing, you know, the long ball. But you know, I think that where he would fail is that if he doesn't look like he knows what he's doing out there, or he's not taking advantage of the receivers that he has, either missing them or they're open and doesn't see the field as clearly as he should. Because, you know, I've heard from some of the pundits that, you know, Mac Jones sees the field a lot better than Cam Newton does. And that, you know, if that's the case and they're not utilizing these wide receivers, you know, I would see Cam coming out of there sooner than later. Because first of all, you're going to piss off your
Yeah, but I heard, one thing that gives me a little more confidence about Cam is I heard an interview with Josh McDaniels actually saying that Cam has really progressed this year and knows more of the plays, understands what they want to accomplish on the field. So in that regard, I would think he'd be a little further along than Jones, but I just think that Jones might be a better instinctual quarterback.
You
just have just the mental capacity and can figure things out quickly. And I mean, if that's the case, I don't think he'll be sitting there that long.
He may understand everything, but can he get the ball to them? You know, can he throw the passes that he needs to throw?
That's the whole key right there.
You know, he's good for 10, 15 yards. After that, who knows? But Jimmy, we only have a minute or two left here. Where do you want to go? Say whatever you want to say, and what'll be the last word?
Well, Red Sox are still in it. There's hope. Patriots, it's a whole new game. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's true. You know, but one thing we might see before they're playing the Washington football team Thursday night, and they were a heck of a great defense last year. They gave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers all they could handle in that playoff game. So it should be very interesting to see how Cam performs. You think he's going to be in there the whole game before we just close this up here?
No, I don't see that. Maybe half, if that. I'd like to see that. Yeah.
That'll be good to see both of them then.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, thanks.
To wrap it up before the screen just goes dark.
Yeah.
And, thank you very much for coming on. You know, you always make us smarter when we finish than when we start.
Ditto. Well, thank you guys for having me. I love talking sports with you guys.
That's great. We love to have you on, and we're really happy that you came on today. Give us another slant to it. And so I want to thank Dave Young and the crew at SMAC for producing this show with us at Zoom. And I don't know, until next time, I'm Mike Wigdor.
Go Patriots.
Go Patriots.
So for Mike Wigdor.
And Frank Walsh.
Jim Derochea.
Jim Derochea.
We'll see you.
Down the road.